Good afternoon, everybody. This is a Florida Golden Girl. Today's travel adventure takes us to the city of Orlando. Folks, this is a Halloween special. We're going to go through what's deemed as a very haunted cemetery. It's in the middle of the day. My sidekick's with me. So today we're going to take a look at Greenwood Cemetery. Greenwood Cemetery has a really interesting history. So this cemetery was established in 1888, and the views are both scenic and historical in nature. Now there are some famous people that are buried here. And if you're ever in the city of Orlando, they do, around fall time is when they offer ghost tours. Have I taken any of the ghost tours? No. Is that something I would be interested in? Probably. These are the local rules. I'll give you a little bit of a moment to take a look at that. So the history of this is, from early 1800s to the late 1880s, really there was no place for the people of the city of Orlando for settlers to bury their own. So you will have seen a lot of cemetery settlements that have cropped up where, you know, descendants or specific family members are only allowed to be buried in these areas. So the city had to do something. And so how Greenwood Cemetery came to be is was a newspaper campaign by the publisher. His name was Malin Gore. So he was an early resident of the city. And so what he did was he got a few of the wealthy citizens of the day pulled together to buy initially 26 acres of land. So for 26 acres of land, this became what is now Greenwood Cemetery. So this cemetery at one time was a neglected cemetery, but when they found out the historical significance, they revitalized it, as many others should be, such, for example, Cocoa City Cemetery. So some of the famous people buried here are a few local mayors. Also, T.G. Lee, he was Derry. And then you had David Lockhart, Samuel Robinson, Elijah and Carrie Hand, Joseph Bumby. You'll have to take a look at those names. I can't recall right off the top of my head what they're famous for, but there's a lot of local mayors here. There's a lot of interesting headstones. So we're going to be having an enjoyable time for Halloween special. I hope everybody is in the spirit. You're gathered around the TV, and we're gonna have an interesting time. Now, but one thing I do want to point out, there are other YouTubers that have done their own spin on this. So I'm one of many. So like I said, we're doing this from the retiree point of view. So I'm out here, it's early in the day, to where, you know, my sidekick is letting me come and do my thing, and he's just kind of along to make sure I'm okay. Like I said before, folks, I have a really good husband. So our first grave we're going to take a look at is a Vietnam veteran, and he died in 2007. And that's his military marker, and here's his civilian marker here. Now, here's an interesting statue. If you see these kind of remind me of, there's a Greenwood cemetery in Los Angeles that has statues such as this. And that's a potter's field. They have a potter's field there, where all of the poor, that can't afford a grave are buried. It's all unmarked. It's mass grave. I think you know how that goes. But I don't know where the older section of the grave is, of the cemetery is, but it does give you a spooky vibe in the middle of the day, doesn't it? It's kind of nice that I get to see a local cemetery where, that's perfect for Halloween. I was saving this one. There's probably other YouTubers that are doing their own Halloween specials. And there's nothing wrong with that, but this year has went by so quickly, but yet it's, here's a World War I veteran. But you really have to be careful, when you're on the roads. I don't know how many of you have experienced, where people are just running through stop signs, no proper signals, nothing like that. This is the Eatons. He died in 71. But when I had went down to Patrick earlier, back in September, and I went and just within one day, being almost sideswiped and everything like that, it's just horrible. So, in anything and everything you do, you've got to use caution. So that's why I'm here in the day and my sidekick is nearby making sure I'm okay. So this is Rock. This is an older grave. He died in 37 and she died in 05. So this looks to be where, 60s, maybe earlier. Olga, she died in 68, must be the daughter. And then now let's go back to our haunted cemetery. Now, there's paranormal people that will get permission to spend the night and see what spooky things they can conjure up. My thought is let them rest in peace. Why is it so important to do EVPs and seances and all that other spooky stuff? Because you just invite, you just invite trouble. So he is a World War I veteran and he died in 64. He was with a company M118th Infantry and he was from Virginia. You invite trouble. But Halloween's a cool time to celebrate, you just go out and kind of enjoy the evening and, just give yourself a break from all the trouble in the world. So this must be an older section that I'm in. It's not far from the entrance. I guess you can always tell. So she died in 25 and he died the following year. No relation. And then you got another older grave. Jesus loved me, this I know. She died from 1918 to 22. 4 years old. Wow. Pretty name, Catherine Juliet. So we have a mausoleum over here. What spooky things are we gonna find, folks? Well, it looks so. This, I have no idea who it is, but it looks like it's probably holding up to 6 crypts or graves, but it's not probably not been opened. And there's stuff growing out of it. So I couldn't tell you what that would be. Here's some more local graves. Oh wait, there's that's kind of interesting. So this is where we are. The entrance is over that way. This looks like this is a large cemetery. 26 acres is a lot. And Greenwood has quite a history. And like I said, you know, the city had to take it over. And now they're kind of making it pay its own way, you know, through the ghost tours and different events that they will hold in the cemetery, to where, you know, they can keep up the maintenance, because, you know, with every year it just costs more money. Lots of interesting trees. So where this flag is, I'm gonna take a look over there, and then I'm gonna see, because the way that's in a formation, and I'll just walk over there versus having to pan in on it, that looks like that's the military section. So while I make my way over here, I see this interesting, what is that? That's a, oh Lord, I can't remember. It's got the pointed thing on it, and that's significant, but could I recall what that is? Oh no, you know. How many times? So this is Everett Hansen, and he was a little year and a half old. How many times have you were going to say something and then you're in the middle of a thought and you forget? And then you remember a couple minutes later. I can remember when my relatives, you're young and the older relatives do that, and you're like, you think it's absolutely ludicrous, but you never stop to think that one day you're going to be in that situation. And that's called an obelisk. So they have these obelisks. So if you're ever in Rome, they're all over the place. Where do they have them at? They also have them in Paris. I've never really seen them in London, but yeah, they're a lot in Rome and Florence. Florence has got a few, but heavily obelisked in Rome. And DC, Washington, DC, Virginia, they have them there as well. So it's not a grave or anything, but this is Mary Hickey, died 1936. And so you have an above crypt there. Creepy cypress, which looks like it would be in place in Louisiana. I love New Orleans, but they got too much creepy things going on around there. So this is an old Art Deco fountain. It's not running. Just dead, but so I guess this is the military section. And how would I know this is a military section? So if you go to any military cemetery, they have them laid out in a specific way, like they're in formation. They're forever at parade rest, but in this area. See that? So this is their military section. We're going to take a look at a few of the graves here. But it's always been my experience that the more haunted areas are your older areas. And so I didn't feel anything weird or anything like that, so that's a good thing. But that's an old machine gun right there. There's no mark. That's an old one. But there's my sidekick in the distance. He's such a sweetheart, folks. He is such a sweetheart. So you have a lot of World War I veterans here. This is base hospital, and he died in 52. And then you have he was a cook, and he died in 52. And then this gentleman did World War I and World War II, and he died in 52 as well. So oh, look at this. Okay, so every one of these, they're buried by war, and they're buried by like when they died. Like he died the 6th of July. Do you see that? And then if I go to the next grave, he died the 10th of July, all of 52. And then Tillman Bevan was World War I, but he died August 25th. So it's in like chronological order. And if I go up here, he died in 1948. And then 49. So over here are more of your World War II veterans here. And then, oh no, he's World War I. And then I guess another World War I here. So this is the military section right here. You know, for October, it's not too bad. A little bit chilly, but yeah. And then I came from over that way. And they're all in formation. Which makes me wonder, so he did World War II in Korea. Let's go a little bit over here and see if there are any later wars. Or is this all World War I and II? It's World War II right there. So I came from here coming in, and so if I go to the next row, another World War II. See that? And so if I go to the last row, thank you everybody for your service. World War I and World War II. So he was career. World War I. So this must be the World War I and World War II section, because I don't see anybody from like the Spanish-American War or the Indian War. Huh. So did anybody see anything spooky in the screen? How are you celebrating your Halloween? Will you be inviting trick-or-treaters over, having a party, a watch party, watching all the YouTubers doing their own Halloween specials? I'll tell you my own haunted story. So when I first started this channel, I told you about how I was blogging, B-L-O-G-G-I-N-G, Rudolph Valentino. So this year was the 100th anniversary of the Mineral Lava Tour. So Richard Hudnut, and I'm sure that name may be familiar to many of you. Hudnut, skincare, Hudnut perfume. He was freaking wealthy. So his son-in-law was Rudolph Valentino. Now, Rudolph Valentino and his wife Natasha were kind of like an early version of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, kind of to that degree. But his beef was with famous players Lasky Studio. Jesse Lasky, famous players, a very famous silent film studio back in the day. Valentino had an issue with spending money. He couldn't keep, as soon as he got that check, he was out that door spending it on, he just had no control. And, you know, you just had people that took advantage. So they did the Mineral Lava tour. They toured, you know, Canada and all the different states. They'd go from one state to another, and they were making, oh my gosh, the money that they made in 1923 was phenomenal. So one of the stops was San Antonio. And they stopped at this historic hotel, and we stayed there before it had been renovated. Now, this hotel was famous. So this is Lieutenant Colonel Davis, and he died at Camp Blanding. I have been to Camp Blanding. We'll have to vlog that one day. It's a World War II training base. That's now the National Guard and Army Reserve training base, but it's more Guard than it is Reserve. So they still had all of the old Art Deco furniture in the lobby. They had, the rooms were, you know, the outside of the rooms, the doors and everything we were all Art Deco. And so normally hotels like this would be like $200 to $300. Well, I think was only like 89 or something like that. It was pretty cheap because they were about ready to renovate it. So he's a So they said, well, the most haunted area is the 11th floor, and naturally we went up there. And so we did some filming, didn't feel anything, but when we got down to our room was when the things happened. I noticed that the closet door, you know, when you come in, you got the closet door, how that would open. Well, you know, neither one of us closed it. And so I asked my husband, I said, well, did you close this door? No, I didn't. And then immediately, you know, he gets the haunted vibe, and I'm like, nah. And then, you know, the light. So this is B. Kirk, lost his life in the performance of duty. So this was World War II. So, you know, and then the kicker was somebody, or he felt a touch, or he felt like somebody was pushing him off the bed, and it felt cold. And let me tell you, this is something that never happened to us before. So he's all freaked out about it, and you know, we said some prayers, blah blah blah. So he's like, well, let's go home. And I'm like, no, I don't want to. So we stayed. And then as we were checking out, they're like, oh, did you have an enjoyable stay? We said no. So he immediately goes into what happened and said, we asked you if this hotel was haunted. And they said, you said no, but it was, because, you know. And then, you know, they kind of, you know, we got comped, you know. And then as we were leaving, you know, I could hear this couple, oh, I wonder if this is haunted. I went over to him and I go, oh yeah, it is. And the guy behind the reservation desk heard me. But what was he going to say? Oh, it wasn't. I said, yeah, I explained this is what happened to us, and, you know, and they didn't stay. So they couldn't get anybody. So this is the funny part. So 3 years later, we went back to this hotel and we stayed. So they kept a lot of the old Art Deco furniture, and which was really cool, but you know, that everything was gray and cold and black and white. It just, you know, it just wasn't the same. So we didn't have nothing wrong, but we did ask some of the workers, and they said they couldn't keep workers. They said especially at night when the cleaners would come, and here's an old one here. The cleaners would come and they would you know, make beds, housekeeping. Pretty much they couldn't keep anybody. Nobody wanted to work late at night. You had maintenance workers when they were doing the remods. That was always an issue because they couldn't keep anybody because they were going down there, especially in the ballroom. I've got pictures of all that, and what I'll do is so I will do a special Valentino where I will show you this hotel, and it's not any video. I don't think I have video, but let me see what I could dig up, and then I'll kind of, it'll be like a Halloween part 2, something like that. So yeah, it's still haunted. So what's it haunted from? I have no idea. So I just remembered the name of the hotel. So it was a St. Anthony Hotel in San Antonio that was established in 1908. So here's some 1941 to 1950. And then another 53. And then they say here in this area is where you'll hear children giggling, you know, because this is the children buried here. So yeah, so going back to my St. Louis, my St. Anthony story. So yeah, so if you Google St. Anthony Cemetery, you know, lots of haunted stories, you know. So the caveat is when we got home from the first time, we took pictures, and we, you know, from we didn't go up to where it was haunted, but we were down the end of the hallway. So what happened is, I'll give you a little bit of a, we seen a picture. It looked like it was a lady who was dressed as a flapper and wearing a silver dress and a silver headdress. And it's like she's peering from beyond, behind a door. So that, yeah, we were, oh my gosh, we were like, yeah, that was like our first haunted encounter. What other haunted encounters? I've been to some of the most haunted places on earth and nothing ever happened. But yeah, that was scary. So if you recall in previous vlogs, do you see how that's all family? And so, wow. Well, let's, you know, I think that this is Civil War area. So there's an obelisk over here. You'll see where it's got the ball. Let's see. Yeah, normally you know, you think you've been through enough of my videos and me yapping saying, oh, this is a family area, blah, blah, blah. So I wonder if this is like a Confederate. Okay, so this is to our unknown soldier. And so doesn't read anything. I'm wondering if they put a cornerstone marker, whether in memory of Daughters of Union Veterans, Civil War. So, if you see where the little, that's kind of the little area that says that this is all dedicated to Civil War veterans. So you've been to enough cemeteries with me where we might find one or two. So let's see. There's more than one war here. So you have World War I here. And then that's another World War I. So he was Civil War, because you could tell. Company A, 11th Michigan Infantry. Here's another one, Father John Crotts, Company E, 14th Pennsylvania Cavalry. And then I guess that was his daughter. She was a spinster. And so that's a, I guess, 1847 to 1915. He was Civil War as well. Company H, 13th Wisconsin Volunteers. Company A, 40th Regimental Wisconsin Volunteers. So he died in 1914 and his wife died in 1943. Wow. Oh, here's another one, Civil War. Company K, 73rd IND Infantry, Civil War, but it doesn't say what state. Julia Nichols. And then you got people that walk through the park. There's another old one. Company C, New York. 1917. Wow. So you got a couple of obelisks over here. You got, looks like some more older graves. And then that's the Moore family plot. Judge Beggs. Okay, he must have been a local judge. 1856 to 1911. Erected in his honor by the citizens of Orange County. So This must be the sun. And then that's what it looks like. Here's an old one. Here's some old ones here, folks. 1917. So she died before the pandemic. Eighteen 1811 to 1886. So this is a super early grave. And then I look over here, and so 2 years, 7 months, and 23 days. So that's a little boy, Thomas Jefferson. And then let's go see. So she's 1920. And then you really can't read that. And then you got, I'm almost at the back of the cemetery. Here's a couple of more old ones here, folks. So, Edward Kuhl, born in Bremer Vard Kingdom, Hanover, died in 1888, age 45 years. So he was an immigrant. And then this must be a brother, Burgard. He died in 1918, so he was affected by the pandemic. And then if I go over here, you got Mary Gordon, 1857. Whitaker died in 1882. So, wow, this must be the older part of the cemetery here. Kirkwood. What does it say? Work is done. Rest in peace. I'll tell you, I do get a creepy vibe here. And you know, when you get a creepy vibe, it's best that you like depart from the area. Here's another one we're gonna take a look at. Mary Florence, wife of Ellen Boykin, died in 1902. So, there's just so much more here, folks. So much more. That's a mausoleum there, but that might be for 2 people. Well, there's some more older graves in the back. Well, folks, that's going to do it for today's Halloween special. I want to thank you for taking time out of this holiday and spend it with me. Like, subscribe, click that notification bell, let you know when a new video is going to be uploaded. Tell a neighbor, tell a friend, tell a dog, tell a cat, tell the bird. Tell a stranger, tell somebody that you know about my channel. Through word of mouth is how my channel grows, and I appreciate everybody that takes the time to do this. Thank you so much, folks, for watching. See you next time, and so long for now.